Good evening. It's Breezy Bree Commentary, and I am coming back to you today. This is day 7 of the Chauvin trial. I've decided to go ahead and say his name since he is the person on trial here, and the trial is named after him. It's the Chauvin trial, whatever his first name is. Anyway, it has to do with George Floyd. Of course, he is the Chauvin is the police officer on trial for the murder of George Floyd that we all witnessed last May. So I'm reaching out to you tonight. I want to talk about this. Today they had a Sergeant Yang on, and he is a trainer of the officers. He trains both the cadets and the police academy. The other day I learned there is a difference between the two. The police academy mostly is made up of police officers who have sent in their resumes. They want to be police officers. They go through the interviewing process. They go through the training through the police academy, and then they are there by police officers. Cadets are degreed personnel, and they have a different type of training. So Sergeant Yang trains mostly cadets that's the gist I got out of it today as he was on the stand. He also trains the police academy. He does more of a refresher training on the critical decision-making model. If you want to see the critical decision-making model, I was trying to pull it up here on my screen. I was having a difficult time doing that. However, you can Google MPD, that's Minneapolis Police Department, MPD Critical Decision Making Model. It is Exhibit 276 on the trial today. So at any rate, what that does, I'm going to share with you here the critical decision making model. It includes it trains the officers on the ability to de-escalate a person. Just say a person who is experiencing an event, some event that has overtaken them. It can be divorce or losing a job. It can be intoxication, drugs, alcohol. So those are the things that it includes. Also, the Sergeant Young said that he also conducts what is called a crisis intervention training. This is where they bring in professional actors to conduct crises scenarios for the officers to recognize and help the officers to be able to recognize whether or not there is a crisis intervention, and if so, the officer is to get help immediately. They are to de-escalate and get help. For example, if they think someone is on drugs, if they think someone is, alcohol, if there's alcohol involved, intoxication, and again, a life-changing event for the person, such as divorce or losing a job. And so the one training that he pointed out that Chauvin was in his class on, and that Chauvin did have full knowledge of, or should have, is the, let's see, where is this? It was a crisis decision-making model. Oh, it was the crisis intervention training. He said that Chauvin had 40 hours of that. And now he does not know these policemen. He is the trainer. It's just like with our jobs. We go into training. Sometimes there may be someone different they're training. A lot of times we know them because they work with us on the job. But with him, he is someone that is brought in. I guess he's contracted through the police department to do this kind of training. So that model is so important, and I really regret not being able to upload it here in this video today, because in the model, the center part of the model it has voice, neutrality, respect, and trust. So whenever the officers are in a position to where they have a person who is in a crisis, they are to stay calm, maintain space, speak slowly and calmly, and avoid eye contact. And I don't understand the avoid eye contact part. I guess it's so that you don't intimidate the person, or cause them, to think that something else is going on. I don't know. So there are two pieces to this. The officers are supposed to, when they're in those situations, which can be stressful to a police officer, because they are having to determine, okay, they're always in the mode of trying to determine, what am I going to do next? And then they have to consider their surroundings for their own protection. So that's why the defense keeps bringing up the fact that there was a crowd surrounding Officer Chauvin when he had his foot on the victim's neck. And that's why the defense is trying to make it look as though the crowd was an issue. However, when you look at this model and what it obtains and what it requires of the officer, the crowd was not an issue for this officer. Part of this model says that the officer is to de-escalate by considering the priorities. And one of the priorities, the first priority is there medical aid needed? That's the bigger thing. The other thing would be, are there people standing around with their cameras? Is there someone with a camera? That's considered something smaller. So the officer is supposed to consider the bigger thing over the smaller issue. And this officer did not do that. So that is my point in bringing up all of this, is that Chauvin had all of this training, so he didn't implement it. He didn't implement it. He didn't utilize the resources that the state of Minnesota had paid for him to use. He did not utilize those resources. He took everything into his own hands. Even when they first approached George Floyd, now they're saying he was asleep in his car and that he had taken some pills and he had seemingly been asleep. Which, by the way, one of the people who was in the car with him is pleading the fifth. The male passenger, who was a friend of his, is pleading the fifth, which is suspect. But we can all gather or guess allegedly why that is. At the same time, given all of the training that Chauvin has had, and given this information about the critical decision-making model, the crisis intervention training, and the types of people that it is required to de-escalate with, this case is very strong against Chauvin. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Even for the people who are saying Floyd was on drugs, even for the people who are saying, oh, he lost his job, because he had just lost his job, he had been ill, and he had some substance abuse issues. Those are all reasons for Chauvin to have de-escalated. Now, in the footage that they showed, Chauvin even said, "Are you on something, man?" So in his mind, he already could tell that there was something going on with Floyd. So why did he escalate instead of de-escalate? And as I shared with you yesterday, there is a escalate to de-escalate process, right? But that is if the officer is in danger. For example, the suspect has a weapon. The suspect is acting violent. things like that. As they were putting Floyd into the police car, eventually they got him in the police car. So they could have de-escalated at that point. Why did they take him out of the police car and then lay him on the ground? It's just, the officer did not utilize all of the things that had been given to him. And I feel so sorry for him because, he has now put himself in this position that could have been so easily avoided, y'all. People have to start thinking of the consequences. When you're angry, when someone is causing you to get hyped up, you have to think about logically what is the best move for you at that moment. The one thing you don't want is to end up in a situation like this, and ruin the rest of your life, potentially. So I just wanted to come back to you this evening and bring this to you. I'm not going to keep you long. I hope that you like this video. I'm not going to remake it or edit it or anything like that. But if you get a chance, do Google it's the crises decision, the MPD, critical decision making model. It's exhibit 276. If you just Google that, it will come up, and you will see the things that are required for the officers there in Minneapolis. So, thank you for listening to me. Please comment. Please subscribe. Click the thumbs up and click the notification bell. I'm going to come on here probably tomorrow night to talk to you about the Real Housewives of New Jersey. They come on tomorrow night and I'm going to review them. And I'll probably also be trying to review Dallas next week. So anyway, have a good evening. Thanks.